Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and in today's video, we're going to be going through the top 10 companions in Warframe. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate like how the companions work versus the enemies because it's kind of hard to show off like exactly what the companion is doing. So we're just going to go down the list of companions and basically their builds and stuff like that and how they all work. This list is also in no particular order because every single companion does something unique and a little bit different, and like they're good or worse at certain different things. So it just depends what you want to run. You know what I mean? It depends which frame you're bringing. It depends the content you're doing and stuff like that. But first things first, we're going to be talking about the Panzer Vulpaphyla. Now, the reason that this guy is on the list is simply because you can get him quite early from demos. And on top of that, he's just really good at spreading viral and making it so you literally cannot die. So if we go ahead and we take a look at the build that I'm running, first off, I've got Sympathy Construct. So enemies injured by the companion has 25% chance to drop a health orb when killed. This is quite nice if you're running the likes of Equilibrium. We've got Viral Quills, so launches 6 quills at enemies within 20 meters, each dealing 60 viral damage with 40% status chance. If the target is affected by a viral status, a spore is added. It's got a 4-second cooldown. That's basically just spreading viral for you. Primed Animal Instincts, so this is more loot radar, more enemy radar, pretty standard. Seismic Bonds, so while a channeled ability is active, companion melee attacks create a 4-meter shockwave for 30% off their melee attack damage. Damage dealt by your companion increases your ability efficiency by 3% for 12 seconds, maxes up at 10 stacks. Basically, more ability efficiency. Very nice. Fetch is basically your vacuum mod for your Vulpaphyla. Tenacious Bond, so a headshot kills reduce companion recovery timer by 3 seconds, and if the companion's critical chance is over 50%, then you gain 1.2 times final crit damage multiplier, so this is why we're running Bite on this build. Martyr Symbiosis, so drains and stores 20 health from the corpses within 25 meters, up to 40% off your health. If your health falls below 10%, companion downs itself to heal you, so this is basically what is preventing you from dying when you're using the Panzer. You've got Tech Assault, so Kavat has 60% chance to ignore lethal damage and be immune for 4 seconds. Very nice. And then finally, we've got Panzer Devolution, so it devolves into its larval form when downed and attacks enemies with quills, dealing 60 viral damage each, regains true form after 30 seconds. So this is basically your Panzer is going to be alive more often because it's going to be able to pick itself up a lot quicker than other companions, for example. And while it's dead, it's still going to be able to spread viral for you, so that's pretty nice. That is the Panzer Vulpaphyla and its build. Next up, we've got the Doriga, and I'm running the Verglass weapon on the Doriga. The Doriga is my personal favorite, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But first up, we've got Arc Coil, so Sentinel will zap up to 7 enemies within 10 meters, dealing 100 electricity damage with a 10% status chance. This is actually pretty nice because it procs Archon Stretch. And if you don't know what Archon Stretch does, it gives you the ability range, but also abilities that deal electricity damage restore 2 energy per second over 5 seconds. And because Arc Coil kind of counts as an ability, that just gives you some nice energy regen. We've got Sympathy Construct again, so enemies injured by the companions have 25% chance to drop a health orb. Again, if you're running Equilibrium, very good. Momentous Bond, so killing Eximus enemies grants 120% bonus off a random elemental damage to your companion for 30 seconds. It also reduces the companion's recovery by 18 seconds. So if you're randomly playing a mission and let's say you just copied a Sentinel build from YouTube, this is what is going to be applying that like random magnetic proc to the enemies whenever you're shooting at them. Got Guardian on here for some shield gating help. Vacuum to suck up resources, obviously. Electro Pulse, so every 5 seconds, Sentinel will continually zap an enemy within 15 meters, trapping them in a stun state. Just a little bit of crowd control. Calculated Shot, so Sentinel charges a powerful shot and fires at the first enemy within 70 meters. Manifold Bond, so this is a companion preset mod which applies status effects from companion weapons. Killing enemies with 3 or more unique status effects reduces companion ability cooldowns by 3 seconds. Duplex Bonds, so companion will clone itself each time you expend 100 energy, up to 3 clones. Clones will live for 30 seconds and can't use abilities. Their kills have a 50% chance of dropping energy orbs. This ability basically allows your Sentinel to clone itself whenever you're casting enough abilities, and these clones are going to go around, kill enemies, and those enemies are going to drop energy orbs for you to help with a little bit of energy sustain. They're also going to spread viral and heat because that's what we've got equipped to our Sentinel's weapon. We've got prime regen on here just so then if our Sentinel dies, he comes back a little bit quicker. So on the Riga, on the Verglas, we've got a build that looks like this. So we've got Galvanized Aptitude, Galvanized Chamber, Rhyme Rounds Malignant Force for the viral, Prime Shred, Hellfire for some fire rate and heat, Ferment Rounds for extra heat, and File Acceleration for even more fire rate. And this is just going to spread as much viral and heat procs as possible. Next up, we've got Worm Prime. Now, Worm Prime is especially good if you're struggling to survive in higher level missions because of what it does. We've got Guardian again for the shield gating, Manifold Bond again, so more status effects and stuff like that. Reinforced Bond. Now, you have to pay attention to this one. So if the companion exceeds 1,200 shields or over shields, then your fire rate is increased by 60%. Reloading restores 150 overshields to your companion. So because we're running this mod, we actually have to run calculated redirection, and that's going to take our shield value up to 2,100. So this mod is always going to be active. We're always going to be getting that fire rate buff. Primed Animal Instinct for the lit radar and enemy radar. Prime regen, so our companion just revives itself. And the gate is quite important, so Sentinel prevents status effects from applying to his owner once every 5 seconds. This is good if you're playing against enemies that apply a lot of bleed procs or toxin procs. Tenacious Bond, so headshot kills reduce companion recovery timer. This is the crit chance one, so if the crit chance is over 50%, then you gain 1.2 times final crit damage multiplier. So because we're running that mod, we can't run the Verglas. Instead, I like to run the Volklock, and I run a build that looks like this. And this is specifically just to get that crit chance up and to give us, you know, the benefits of the Vigilante set. The Tenacious Bond is going to pair with the weapon. It's similar to how it works on the Kavat like we showed. So instead of running Bite, we're just running the mods on the weapon of the Sentinel. Momentous Bond to give us that random element. Calculated redirection for the shield to pair with Reinforced Bond, and then Vacuum to suck up more items. Next up, we've got Helios Prime. Now you want to go ahead and make sure that you've got the Deconstructor Prime equipped for this little Sentinel. Then on our Helios, we've got Guardian for the shield gating help, Aerial Bond, so airborne kills decrease companion recovery timer by 3 seconds and 9 seconds for headshot kills. Companion creates a field of cold that increases up to 35% and 10-meter radius while Warframe is airborne, lasting for 3 seconds after returning to ground. So basically, the more time you spend in the air, the more your companion is going to be alive, and you have this little cold field, which is just going to slow enemies around. Vacuum for, of course, sucking things up. Lymph Deconstruct for the health orbs. Prime regen, so our little guy revives himself. Investigator to scan the enemies, because that's basically what the Helios is there for, so you can be lazy and you don't have to scan anything if you want to scan. If you don't want to run Investigator, you can run Seismic Bond. Momentous Bond for the random elemental damage. Manifold Bond for the extra status effects. We've got Vicious Bond on here. Now this one is quite important. So this one says companion melee attacks strip 15% of enemies' armor. Enemies recently damaged by abilities spread the effect to other enemies in a 9-meter radius, and that is basically what this entire build is about. The Vicious Bond is a very important mod for Helios Prime. And we've got Assault mod on here just to make sure that our Helios actually attacks. Then on the Deconstructor, we run a build that looks like this. It kind of works like a glaive, that's why we're running Whirlwind and Power Throw, and also Rebound as well. Next up, we have a Smida Kavat. Mine is called Toad because they are incredibly ugly. We've got Tech Enhance for more ability duration on our Kavat. We've got Bite to pair with Tenacious Bond again. Momentous Bond for the random elemental damage. Tech Assault, so this one says Kavat has 60% chance to ignore lethal damage and be immune for 4 seconds, so it's just got to keep your cat alive. So next up, we've got Charm. So Smida Kavat has a 28% chance every 27 seconds to bestow its owner with good fortune. So this is going to give you one of the many different effects of Charm. The main one that I like is the one that gives you extra loot or extra resources. So this is a really good companion if you're farming for something specific, like some type of fish, for example, and you need to get a lot of them. So Charm might randomly proc, and then you'll get like bonus fish. Sometimes you can get affinity bonuses, just a lot of different cool effects from this cat, really. Primed Animal Instinct for the loot radar. We've got Mischief, so allows Smida Kavat to become invisible for 9 seconds every 7 seconds, while a Decoy Kavat draws fire. Decoy has a 15% chance to evade damage. Just going to keep your Kavat alive longer. Aerial Bond, so whenever we're in the air and killing, we've got some cool buffs. Then we've got Fetch as our vacuum mod. Comedic Kavat is definitely one of my most used companions because Charm and extra loot is just so good for like reducing the amount of time that I spend in missions that to me it's kind of a no-brainer. Next up we've got the Huras Kubro. So this is the Kubro that is going to make you invisible. Now you could use Shade if you really wanted to, but for some reason I just biased towards the Kubro. So we've got Stalk, so this is the cloaking ability. This is only really gonna work if you're not like fighting any enemies. It's kind of like a random invisibility. Whenever you stand still and you don't interact with any enemies for a while, they're gonna make you invisible. So this is good if you're doing the likes of fishing and you literally just don't want to be annoyed by the enemies, or let's say you're mining or something like that. If you want to be left alone, you want to use this companion is basically what I'm saying. Fetch for the vacuum. So Mecha Overdrive, so 60% primary weapon status chance added to the companion with plus 90% status duration. And also the passive says companion marks the target every 45 seconds for 6 seconds. Killing the target applies their status effects to all enemies within 15 meters. This is good for just like spreading status effects. Of course, we have to pair that with Mecha Recharge, so we have 90% shield recharge and then the same passive. Calculated Redirection for more shield capacity, which is going to pair with Reinforced Bond to give us that extra fire rate. Got Tenacious Bond on here. No, you're not going to exceed the 50% critical chance with the Huras Kubro, so this is just for the recovery time. Hunter Synergy, so plus 40% primary weapon critical chance added to the companion. Momentous Bond for the random elemental damage again. And then Prime Pack Leader, heal your companion with melee hits. Excess healing grants overguards. It's just to keep your companion alive. Nothing too complicated here. You just want to keep your companion alive, get as many buffs as possible from it, and then go invisible. That's kind of it. Duras is definitely one of my least used, to be honest, because if I need to go invisible for something, I'm using the likes of Octavia. So honestly, could have said Death Cube instead. Death Cube, I'm running a build that looks like this, and this is just for energy orb generation. You've got energy generator plus duplex bond, because remember that whenever the companion kills an enemy, they've got 50% chance of dropping energy orbs from this mod. And Synth Deconstruct pairing with Equilibrium as well for even more energy from the health orbs. So now that I think about it, I'd probably put Death Cube instead of the Huras Kubro. But I feel like I'd be doing a little bit of a disservice if I didn't mention the whole like you can go invisible for free companion. But I think Death Cube is a little bit more useful just because of that energy orb generation. Next up, we've got the first companion that you actually get in the game, and this is the Taxon. Now the Taxon is really good at just keeping your shields up. So basically we have like all the normal mods, right? So we've got Contagious Bond here. So when your companion kills an enemy afflicted with a status effect, 50% of the status effect spreads to other enemies within 9 meters. Very nice. Manifold Bond to reduce the ability cooldown of the Sentinel. Momentous Bond for the elemental damage. Synth Deconstruct, so enemies injured by the companions have 25% chance to drop health orbs. And Seismic Bond for the energy efficiency. But the real star of the show is molecular conversion, so blast enemies within 10 meters, converting 200 damage into shields for the Warframe. Plus Guardians, this is just going to keep your shields as high as possible and help you out with shield gating. Assault mode is just so the Sentinel actually attacks. Vacuum for the sucking, and Prime Regen to keep the Sentinel up as long as possible. And that's basically the Taxon. Nothing too complicated. Next up, we've got the Oxalis. Now, the Oxalis made it onto the list simply because it's going to help you out with fishing and also scanning plants for the Titania quest. We've got Scan Aquatic Life Forms, who reveals hotspots within 100 meters and applies luminous dye to fish within 40 meters. So quite nice if you're doing any type of fishing. We've also got Botantis on here. You know, you get this from Cephalon Samaris. Oxalis Sentinel will scan plants within 50 meters over 2 seconds. This consumes Codex scanner charges. So again, good if you are trying to farm for those aura mods or if you're just doing the Titania quest. And on top of that, we also have Scan Matter. So resource containers within 60 meters are revealed on the minimap for 8 seconds every 30 seconds. So if you need this, you can go ahead and throw that on for more loot. We have the Adarza Kitty. Now this is literally just for bonus crit. So we have Cat's Eye. Adarza Kavat grants 60% increased critical chance for 10 seconds to allies within 20 1.5 meters every 20 seconds. Fetch for the vacuum. Tech assault, so Kafat has 6% chance to ignore lethal damage and be immune for 4 seconds. Tech enhance for more ability duration, so this is going to affect your cat's eye. Momentous bond, so killing Xmas enemies grants 120% bonus off a random elemental damage to your companion for 30 seconds. Primed animal instinct for the radar. Tenacious bond plus bite for that extra crit damage multiplier. Symph deconstruct, so enemies injured by the companions have 25% chance to drop a health orb. And then finally we've got Prime Pack Leader, so heal your companion with melee hits. Excess healing that grants them overguard. And I guess I can show you guys the Adarza kitty in action, so let's just go ahead and simulate these guys, and hopefully Cat's Eye will go ahead and proc. There's Cat's Eye turned on, so let's just go ahead, and as you can see, I only do orange and red crits. I'm only red critting. Now I am using a Torrid Incarnum, which you can make red crit like this anyway, but you know, as you can see, we're just red crits everywhere. We've also got the Nautilus here. Now, Nautilus is very good for just grouping enemies up. So we've got Vacuum. Gordon, so this reads, Nautilus forces enemies within 30 meters of the target into clusters for easier targeting. Guardian for help with shield gating. Got spare parts on here, so the target becomes 200% more likely to drop an item whenever I kill them. Prime Regen and Prime Animal Instinct, pretty standard. Manifold Bond for the status effects. Duplex Bond for the clone. Momentous Bond for the extra element. And then Assault Mode just so the Sentinel actually attacks. I like using Nautilus in the likes of the Netracell missions just to grip the enemies up, and it makes killing them a lot easier. And that's pretty much it for all the companions. Now, if I was to recommend like which ones I frequent the Riga just because I like how it spreads viral and heat. On top of that, I'm a big fan of Worm for that extra fire rate and crit damage at the end. If I wasn't running anything like that, it would be the Panzer Vulpaphyla. This is definitely what I'd try to get as a beginner player because it's just going to spread a lot of viral. For fishing, I like the Oxalis because, you know, I hate fishing and this is just going to make it as easy as possible. And then if I'm leveling or if I'm farming resources or something like that, I'm running myself a Smedikavat. And that's pretty much it for all of the best companions within Warframe. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe as it helps the channel a lot. If you want to get early access to my videos, you can become a channel member by pressing the join button beneath this video for $5 a month. Or if you want early access to other cool resources and behind the scenes content, you can subscribe to my Patreon for less than $5 a month. Consider clicking on the video on screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one.